All right, guys, I'm going to go over 6.5, talking about the coordinate plane. And you've done a lot of this before. The only thing that's different now is that we've added negative numbers on our coordinate plane. So it's the same exact concept, it's just using negatives. So think of like our number line, the positives are to the right, the negatives are to the left. And then we also have a vertical number line, which is the y-axis, where positives are going up and negatives are going down, just like they would with a thermometer, or if you're talking about sea level, things like that. So let's take a look at the examples. So if we go to 6.5, there's a few key terms. This grid here on my graph is called coordinate plane. So plane is like an area. Okay, so it's formed by the intersection of a horizontal number line and a vertical number line. The number lines intersect at the origin, which is 0. Okay, and separate the coordinate plane into 4 regions or quadrants. These are called quadrants. So quad, right, means 4, like quadruple, quarter. So it goes in a counterclockwise direction, and we're studying ancient Rome, which is interesting because we have Roman numerals here. So quadrant 1 is where both the x's and the y's are positive, okay? And then we go to the left, so counterclockwise to quadrant 2. Here we have negative x's and positive y's. Then quadrant 3, negatives and negatives, right? Negative x's, negative y's. And then finally quadrant 4, positive x's and negative y's. So you can have points plotted in all 4 quadrants. So the key thing is you always need to know which is your x and which is your y, right? And so x's are always going from side to side, y's are going up and down. And when you have a ordered pair, such as here, we have 4, -2, x always comes first, y always comes second, just like in the alphabet, X, Y, Z, right? So follow an alphabetical order. X is 4, and then y is -2. So I would go on my x 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would go down 2 spaces, 1, 2, and I would plot it right here. Okay, so let's try this example here. It says, which ordered pair corresponds to point T? So I find the letter T, and then I always start with my X, right? So I have to go over 1, 2, 3 boxes. So my X is going to be worth 3. So I write 3, comma, and then I have to go down 3 spaces, which is -3. So 3, -3. Let's find one that matches that. So that would be letter B. Oh, wait. No, it would be C, right? Because we have to do our +3 first, then our -3. So C, because you go X is 3 and then Y is -3. Okay, let's look at on your own. It says, use the graph in example 1 to write an ordered pair corresponding to the point. So for number 1, point P, remember I always do my X's first. So over -3, up 1, 2, 3. So -3, +3 would be P, right? So this -3, +3 would be this P point. And then Q is going to be -2, but then it doesn't go up at all. So when it doesn't go up at all, it stays on the x-axis, which means the y is actually 0, right? So Q would be -2, 0. -2, 0. And then for number 3, we have point R. We go over -1, so that's my x, -1, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, comma, -4 would be R. And then point S, I'm going 0 on my x, right? So 0, comma, +1, 2. So 0, comma, 2 for S would be the ordered pair. So let me show you what that would look like real quick on the whiteboard. Okay, so 0, comma, 2, right? So I didn't go on my x at all, and I just went up 2. Okay, So let's go to a few more examples. Let's go to plotting ordered pairs. So now they might ask you to plot more than one. It says plot A, B. Okay, so we have two different coordinates. So the first one, -2 is my x and 3 is my y. So I need to go -2 and then up 3. And that would be where I would plot that. And then for B, it's 0. And then I just go -3.5 or -3.5 on my y, which would be right here. Okay, so all you do is make those 2 points. And then it says describe the location of each point. And when it's asking to describe the location, it's asking which quadrant. Okay, so the location means what quadrant. So in this one would be in quadrant 2, right? Because we count counterclockwise. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, 4. So this one would be in quadrant 2. And this one is actually not in a quadrant, right? Because it's on an axis. So instead of saying the quadrant, you actually say the location is the y-axis, because you're on the y-axis. You're not in a quadrant. Now, if it was on a dot, was plotted on the x, right, on the x line, then you would say x-axis. Okay, so if we were to go ahead and try some of these, 3, -1, I go over 3 in the positive direction on my x and then down 1 right here. Okay, so that would be in quadrant 4. -5, 0. Okay, so I go -5 on my x, that's all the way over here. And then I don't go up or down because it's at 0. So that would be, the location would be the x-axis for number 6. For number 7, 2.5, so -2.5 is the same as -2.5. So -2.5 would be about right here. And then I go down 1, right? So I'm going to be right there in the middle of a line there, -1, which would be quadrant 3. And then for 8, you have to do -1.5 and then up 0.5. So you'll be in the middle of that box there. That'd be quadrant 2. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And then you can plot data points to make a graph and so forth. So let's see. Yeah, on these, for your assignment, all you really have to do is just make sure that you're using your positives and negatives correctly and doing the x first and then the y. So for point A, you would do 3, 1, right? Because you're over 3 up 1. For B, it would be -3, 2, and so forth. When it gets tricky is when you have those halves. But as long as you're paying attention to if it's a negative or positive, and if it's the x or y, then you should be able to do it. All right? And then check your answers in the back of the book when you've done the assignment and see how you did. Good luck.